there was a conversation, a thread on our Facebook page that I follow. This was a couple years ago. They were talking about the sensation of being choked in your sleep. So I put a link to my book to the chapter on the hag, which is about night terrors. But I had never heard the expression night terrors before. I didn't know what it meant. I had a very well-meaning person that we actually know here in our community who told me all about it. That it's, no, science has proved this is what it's all about. It's a scientific thing. It's just something in your brain. It's called night terrors, and here's some links to it, and science has dealt with that. Now you need to drag your witchcraft-believing ass out of the 15th century or whatever. He didn't say it like that. He was actually very polite. I said, okay, well, what about this aspect of it? What about that aspect of it? He said, that's just your brain filling in all the details. I said, okay, maybe, and maybe that's true. I don't know. I do know that when it affects multiple people in the same room at the same time, then that's, wow. I mean, is that...
That's not your brain. That's everybody's brain at the same time.
Because if I could do telekinesis, where I could physically affect the world around, I'd do the crap out of that.
Did you ever notice how much time that people of science try to spend debunking God? And the only thing they perpetually do is prove over and over and over again that God exists and that there is a God factor in every single thing, and that they cannot debunk no matter how hard they try. So they can poo-poo it away and we don't have to talk about that and we don't have to. But in reality, it is the elephant in the room. No one wants to talk about, but there's a God factor in every single thing, whether it comes in demonic form or in miracle form, mundane form. There's a God factor in everything. So
much of science requires you to believe.
Right.
And isn't that what
and that's the other thing, is that, like I said, they spend so much time trying to debunk God and trying to prove that there is no God, that it's all just a hokey, weird thing, and all they do is perpetually prove over and over again that everything in the Bible is real and that God and Jesus are real and all of that's actually real. And the more they try to debunk it, the more they actually prove it. And so people can pray to their scientists and worship at the feet of Dr. Fauci and just listen to everything he says like he is Jesus himself, speaking the truth, all they want to. And that's on them in the end. You can believe in your science and you can have it wash away all the hope and thought and idea of anything miraculous or spiritual or supernatural. You're going to be wrong in the end, and that's all on you, not my problem.
I think my superhero strength as a pastor has always been the ability to say, I don't know. And not, it's a mystery, but simply, I don't know. I don't have that. And then the reason I credit myself with that as being a superpower is because...
You're also a man?
Because
most men have to have an answer for everything. They will mansplain. I know that's a weird term, but they will just start making stuff up and fill in the gaps rather than admit that they just don't know. That is demasculating for some men. I don't know what the reason behind that is.
When you're a pastor, you're expected to know.
You want all the answers, and you should tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me the answers. You have so much insight.
Wow. Does this get back to you experiencing your truth? Yeah, we have dogs, by the way, running through the house, being dogs, and they're having a good day. So just going to leave this in.
They're not listening.
Yeah. So let's talk about the hag. I'll put a link at the end of this to the chapter from the book so you can see it and read it. I've told a little bit in that chapter about my experiences with it. Tell me your experiences with it. You've never been choked in your sleep? That's what we're talking about today.
I thought you were talking about specifically about the hag as a cryptid or a specific thing.
Oh, no.
We are talking about being... This is Grace.
Okay.
Hello? And that's weird.
That's a big point.
When somebody who is a non-believer in anything has it happen to them in our house. My mom.
That's right.
She had her dog, Delilah, picked up and thrown across the room in the middle of the night. Then jumped up and came and woke me up and asked me if I threw her dog across the room.
Yeah, good.
And I was like, yeah, that's what I do.
We're not letting the ASPCA.
I was asleep. I don't know what you think, but it's the middle of the night and she was freaked out. Her dog was crying and she was just freaked out. So for it to happen in our presence to somebody who's not buying any of it anyway, for them to experience something where they're like, well, maybe there is something to this. Yeah. You can
and what did you
deny it. I told her, no, I was asleep. I didn't throw your dog.
Who else was in the house? I remember this story, but I don't remember this story. Because I don't remember. I don't think I was here.
I know Kaylee was here.
Okay.
And she was having her own experiences.
Right.
At the same time.
Yeah.
And my mom was in the room where your mom is right now. And
so my mom would have been living next door at the time. Yeah.
And Kaylee was in the back room, and she was having all kinds of experiences in the very back room. Remember? She was being choked, and she was having all that experiences there. I just told you about it, and was like, my mom's dog was thrown. I didn't know. I mean, we knew it was happening, but we didn't know how to deal with it at that time. Mm-hmm. That came later.
Yeah.
I remember a time in the colorful house where we saw the shadow things.
Right.
It was like, I don't know if they're demons or if they're shadow people or
what
they are. They are weird, dark beings. They move. It almost looks like somebody in a Scream costume, but you can kind of see through them, and they know. And
they just sort of walk past.
They just sort of walk past, and when we both see them at the same time, and we're like, well, what was that? Right. I know you saw that.
I've seen that at your mom's house.
I've seen that at my mom's house with you.
Not in a long time.
With you, not in a long time. No.
I remember one day I was sitting in your mom's living room. She has that big picture window. I'm sitting there.
I was with you.
Yeah, watching these entities
right
sort of
across the yard in front of the window. I remember that, and I was like, "Did you see that?" And you're like, "Yeah, did you?" And yes. Well, thank goodness we both saw it.
Yeah. And for as creepy as that town is, that's still not normal.
Right. That's just not. Yeah. No, but it was at the colorful house on Lariat where I had my first real choking experience. I was awake for it. I mean, I woke up right as it was happening, I guess, because I remember my eyes were open and I was looking around and I was trying desperately to move anything, trying to get you to wake you to anything to see if this was happening to you as well. What I did see was frightening. There were these two creatures or beings. They were like, the only thing that comes to me is mischief makers. They looked like, and I've seen them in I don't know, maybe a cartoon or something, in an old video or old movie or old something, but they had like striped shirts on, black pants, and then they had this big beak thing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about with the big eyes like that? They looked like that.
Yeah.
And they were like mischief makers, and they were kind of taunting me, and I was just paralyzed. I was just stuck. It wasn't, one was sitting on a dresser over here, and one was sitting over here somewhere, and just kind of touching stuff, moving stuff around, kind of laughing at me, taunting me. I don't remember how it ended. I just remember the sensation and feeling like that for a long time and being able to see them. Like my eyes were open and I'm looking around and I can't move and I can't breathe very well and I can't speak and I can't scream and I can't move. That was the most frustrating part, is I couldn't move. And it was infuriating and I could see them. They were very tangible. And they were just like mischief makers. That's the only word that I can.
There were several things that we experienced in that house.
There was some weird stuff. The dog. We had a dog named Diva who would just stand and bark at the hallway, the open hallway, for 30 solid minutes. You could not make the hair on her back go down. She would just stand there and just go bananas at the hallway or the corner of the room or.
One of the chapters in the book is about her in that house.
She was
her reaction to
a freak. There was a lot of stuff happening in that house.
Yeah.
That was the most intense, memorable one, though. the most infuriating, I think. It wasn't frightening, though.
Yeah.
I've had times that were frightening. I mean, I remember being afraid that I wasn't ever going to move again, but they were just annoying.
The first few times it happened to me, I thought I was going to die. I thought whatever this thing is, whatever is happening, it's going to kill me. I had an experience where I had come home from Canada, and it was a tremendous, wonderful experience up there. And I came home. We got home very early in the morning. This is my ex-wife and I. We were in bed, and I had only been there a few minutes. I wasn't asleep yet. I saw, my eyes were closed, but I saw this pale being. It seems to me that I had the impression it was a man, but I don't know. I saw this pale being with this pale white hand reach out and just grab my throat. As he grabbed my throat, I opened my eyes, and there was nothing different. Everything I was seeing with my eyes closed, I was seeing with my eyes open. And it had me by the throat, and I choked and gasped and, went through all the mechanizations of being choked. Finally, I managed to just squeak out, Jesus. It stopped, and I fell off the bed. And we had a bed that was kind of like the bed we have now, where it was very high up in the air. And I fell off the bed and hit the ground, and I'm just, all the things that after you've been choked that you go through. And laying there on the floor, yeah, that was a very vivid memory, very vivid experience. I've had it since then, but I don't think it's frightened me like it did those first couple of times since then. I have not had it in a long time, though.
Me either.
Years.
It's been a very, very long time
yeah.
since I've felt anything really.
I have had experiences recently where I was laying in bed, but I wasn't asleep. I was laying in bed, and I was seeing a vision of angels and demons fighting directly over my body. Like they weren't even paying attention to me. They were fighting each other. One of the demons just put his hand down and touched my leg. I was wide awake. One of the demons reached his hand down, touched my leg, low on my right leg, and I immediately had a Charlie horse.
That happened to you a few times.
And it happened 3 or 4 nights in a row. Each time, the touch was a little bit higher. Each time, it caused a massive Charlie horse. And the last time, it touched me on the right hip. And I could barely move. I could barely walk the next day.
I remember.
And went through a lot of prayer, and then it stopped. It stopped. At the time, I had the impression that there was something drawing me closer spiritually than I had been. That there was an attempt to stop it. Like there was a breakthrough happening in my own spirituality, and there was an attempt to stop it. But of course, when stuff like that happens, you don't stop. You pull in tighter. You get closer. It's like any time a bully tries to beat you away from doing something, you're probably not going to get afraid. You're probably going to get mad
want to do it more.
Want to do it more. Like I have this vague impression of you that you don't like to be told what to do
or what not to do.
Yes.
Yeah, you guessed it.
So
yeah, I hate that.
If I were smart, I would simply say, whatever you do, don't cook dinner.
At 10 o'clock in the morning?
Whatever you do, don't cook those the chicken pocket things you make that I like so much.
No, we don't have the stuff to make those. I would.
It's an illustration. Chris didn't really mean that. So don't do that.
So don't do that.
As far as the hag goes, as far as night terrors go, it does happen. I have, once again, no explanation for it, but it does happen, and it is a part of the experience on this earth that some people go through. You're listening to the Divine Now podcast. I am Mark. This is my wife, Micquette. May the Lord bless you. May He make His face to shine upon you. Say something just so I can check the mic levels. Don't mean it. Just be where you are.
Just be where you are.
Yeah.
Just be where you are.
Just live your truth.
Just live your truth. Oh no. You live your truth, I'll live mine.
And I will be edified and encouraged by your truth.
You're gonna edify the shit out of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll edit your truth already. And steal your sunshine.
Don't do that. You don't know when I'm doing my sunshine.